This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the
TAMRON.
The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the
SONY.
You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Sony glass is expensive, especially when you consider the fact that I come from the land of Fuji frugality. Over there, our lenses are teeny tiny, sharp, and overall more affordable than the good old G Masters. So before I fully E-mount myself onto the Clydesdale horse that is the Sony A7S III, I need to test a couple lenses. So I rented 2 lenses, but by the end of this video, I will purchase either the Sony 20mm 1.8 G Master, not G Master, it's G lens, or the Tamron 17-28 2.8 zoom lens. I was about to pull the trigger on the Sony 20mm 1.8 when I rented it a couple months ago to take it to the beautiful mountains of Colorado. I had a great experience with the lens overall for both video and photo, but before I bought it, I discovered this other lens, the Tamron 17-28 2.8. And it seemed like a very interesting option over the Sony G Master 16-35 2.8. And to be honest, I can't imagine myself vlogging on a $2,000 lens when the Tamron has a similar zoom range and it's only $849 USD, brand new. This got me fired up because the 20mm 1.8 is only $800 USD, brand new right now during the holidays. So they're almost the exact same price, which means the decision will come down to how the image looks and feels to me and how the lens will jive with my current workflow. All right, so we're out here downtown Nashville, me and my beautifully attractive roommate, Caden Burton. I'm looking for a wide angle lens to do content creation mostly, so that's kind of what this is gonna be geared toward, but also just like personal photography. But I wanted to have quality where I could use it on a client job if I wanted to. So that's what we're figuring out today. I'm no Peter McKinnon, but I did enjoy shooting these photos. And I gotta say, having that young 1.8 on the 20mm from Sony was very enjoyable. For some quick context, the Sony A7S III, this beautiful camera you're seeing footage from, is my very first full frame camera. I've dealt with speed boosters, adapters, rocket launchers, everything to make my images look like this. I'm saying I like the 20mm for photos. And I'm typically a zoom boy when it comes to lenses, but there is something kind of special about having a prime lens, creative limitation, that kind of forces you to move around to get the composition you desire. It felt nice, and I burned more calories. How we doing, gentlemen? How's it be? Everybody having a good day today? All right, scram off. And I liked the Tamron too. You don't get the 1.8 aperture, but you do get a longer zoom range. The 20mm obviously can't even zoom at all. But you do get a few extra millimeters on the wide end at 17, which offers some really cool perspectives. I do like how the 20mm feels on the wide end. It feels wide enough for me, both for self-filming and just taking some nice wide photos. But having the zoom ability on the Tamron is definitely nice if you're trying to reframe in a pinch. Plus, when zoomed in, I do like the compressed look at 28mm. The bokeh looks more pronounced, and guess what? That's okay. It's okay to like bokeh balls. You can hate all you want, but I like me some BBs. Bokeh balls. So for all these tests, I'm keeping the lenses at 2.8 for the Tamron and 1.8 for the G lens, and then just compensating with ISO for exposure. That way you guys can see, you know, the beautiful bokeh that everyone's obsessed with. I am too, looks great. We're about to do an autofocus test of video tracking, just Caden walking towards camera. I'm sure it'll be good on both, but it'll be nice to see the differences. All right, start walking. So we're on the 17-28 at 17 mils. The autofocus is in the wide, so it should just be tracking okay, and then stop there. Dude, that's pretty dang Gucci. Look how far away he is. This is the same lens, f2.8 at 28 mils this time. Here he comes, everybody. He's looking so cute. That's pretty dang good. We're on the Sony 20mm 1.8 G lens at the maximum aperture of 1.8 with a wide autofocus tracking section. He's walking toward the lens. We're gonna see if this lens can keep up with his face, even though there's no face, it's a mask. Ooh, it's losing you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Oh. It lost you for a second, but overall, pretty Gucci. See ya. Based on my extremely scientific and accurate results that I got in a lab, which I forgot to film, I don't know which one's best at autofocus. Honestly, they're both great at autofocusing. I just feel like the 20mm may have been a little bit better at tracking subjects and sticking with subjects overall, but I genuinely don't think you could go wrong with either lens in terms of autofocus. Which is very strange to say, because I've been in an everlasting battle in the land of Fuji, trying to achieve decent autofocus for all my Fuji fam out there. And I am war-torn. It's just been a struggle, and it's nice to know that whichever lens I end up with at the end of this video, I can count on it for autofocus. All right, well, since the lenses are pretty equally stacked up in my mind at the moment, we're gonna have to look at the last bits of test footage to make my decision. And for this test, I shot in 4K 120 on the A7S III for 2 reasons. Reason 1, it looks freaking sweet. Reason 2, the 4K 120 on the A7S III is the same quality as the 4K 24 frames per second, which means we can get detailed, high quality, really slow footage to analyze to make our decision based on this test. Well, they both look really nice. This might be a problem. You know what? I'm just gonna write down the names of each lens on a separate piece of paper, put those pieces of paper in a hat, pull it out, and whichever one I pick, I'm gonna buy that lens. I'm trying to decide what color to paint my studio, so I'm just gonna use these. SONY and Tammy. This is the moment of reconciliation.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the
TAMRON.
The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the
SONY.
You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
My God. It's a SONY, guys. It's SONY. It's a 20mm. And guess what? We were filming with it the entire time. You didn't even know until right now. Also, I crossed out Tammy and put SONY on the other one too, because I was gonna pick that either way because it's in my script. That's crazy. Truth is, both of these lenses are really great, in my opinion. The autofocus is solid on both. They're both small, lightweight, easy to carry around with you, with the SONY being slightly smaller, which I do prefer. The SONY has a maximum aperture of 1.8, the Tamron a 2.8, but with the Tammy, you do get that little bit of zoom, which is very nice. So they both have their strengths. In the end, the reason I decided to go with the 20mm is how the images felt. Yeah, I know that sounds cringe, but hear me out. Neither lens has much character. They're both pretty normal looking, sharp lenses, somewhat clinical looking without having defining characteristics, which is actually fine for me because mostly I'm just gonna be using them to film content like this or take personal photos and videos, and I just need something that looks decent and works well. And maybe I'm just a sucker for depth of field because I came from Micro Four Thirds, APS-C, and Super 35, but dude, the 1.8 20mm on full frame looks beautiful to me. I really enjoy that. Okay, if you have any suggestions for me on what other E-mount lenses I should purchase for the A7S III, let me know in the comments below. I would love to chat with you guys, love to see your opinions, and I'll buy those lenses when I can open my retirement account at the age of 65 because SONY is super expensive. Thank you for watching, subscribe, bye.